Hello, here we are again, number 38. And I hope you're all still fit and well. And still there, keep going with the program. So let's just start off with a posture check. Back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels up against an imaginary wall. Opening the chest. Tailbone pointing down, keep that zip up and hollow. Shoulders, hips, knees and ankles aligned, allowing the knees to open a little bit and the arch of the foot to lift. And of course breathing full and wide into the ribs so you don't interfere with your zip up and hollow. And then just putting the fingertips on the shoulders. Just do one shoulder roll and then another shoulder roll and then both together. It's going to do a single and then both together. Just drawing some circles with the shoulders in the air. Single, single and double. And then changing, do a squeeze back as you exhale. Exhale, squeeze back and then both together. Just pull back and open the chest. So you do a single squeeze back, and then both together. And then one more time, just opening the chest, warming up the shoulders, the shoulder girdle. And squeeze. And then keeping the shoulders back and down, bringing the arms down by your side. Going into a bicep curl. And then adding into that a heel and toe. Balancing. Keeping the elbows tucked into the side, fully straighten the arms, fully bend the arms. Load bearing on that standing leg. And getting some flexibility into the ankle. And then when you're ready, change, keeping the arms going to the other leg. So an element of balance going on here as well. And just starting to warm up the joints, switching on those core muscles to help the balance. And then when you've completed this one, just bring the arms back down by your side and reach the right arm forward. Follow the hand with the eyes as you take the arm all the way round and back and down. And the other arm reaching forward all the way round and back and down. Try and keep the headlamps on the hip bones pointing forward. Headlamps on the chest pointing forward. Turning the head, getting lots of flexibility into the neck as well as the shoulders. Just one more time, either side. So nothing else moving while you do that. And then from here, taking the hips back and down and then push that right leg back. So you do a little squat and then a squeeze back, opening the chest, hips back and down. Push back with the arms, squeezing those shoulder blades together. Then if you can, add a little lift as you squeeze back. Pushing back with the legs, straight back, just to get into the buttock. Try not to lean forward at all. Keeping that chest up, each underneath the chin, between the chin and the chest. So just think about sliding your back down that imaginary wall. And see if you can stay on that side and repeat. Squat and squeeze. Just pushing back with the arms, keeping that chest up, and then swapping to the other side. If that's too much, of course, you just leave the foot on the floor. Just gives that buttock a little bit more work. Squeezing the buttock. Hips, thighs, buttocks working. Breathing in and breathing out. And then from there, just hold that there. Bringing the foot back down by your side. And then from here, just take a step to the side, squat, and slide the foot through and push. So you're going to do a squat, slide, squeeze. Take the legs nice and wide, keeping the chest lifted, and push. Oh dear, we've got some more of that low sun again. Push. Add some arms, crisscross the arms and open the chest. Deep wide squat, work those inner thighs as you push across. And push. Deep, deep squat. Slide the foot along the floor so you're creating a little bit of resistance against the floor to make those inner thighs work harder. And then from here, just hold it there. And do a little pulse. Balance. Push the heel into the wall at the side. Try to keep everything else, whoops, a little wobble there, stable. and then squat, slide, squeeze, and hold, and just a little pulse, pushing the heel into the wall. Feel that inner thigh work, and of course balancing. And then bring it back to the start position, and then just do a step and tap, clasp the hands, and lift the arms up, and then drop the hands behind, and lift. Just drop and lift. Keeping the elbows pointing up towards the ceiling, back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels up against that imaginary wall. Working a little bit into the backs of the arms. Trying to jut the chin forward, keep the back of the head up against that imaginary wall. Keep the peach underneath the chin. Now, if that's too much for the shoulders, if your shoulders are not happy with that position, then you can bring the elbows up high behind you, point your fingers forward, then point the fingers back. Point the fingers forward, point the fingers back, but keeping the elbows up high behind. And again, you work into the backs of the arms and open the chest. If you can, you stay with the clasping of the hands, drop and lift, keeping those elbows pointing right up. And then just bring it back to the start position, bringing the arms back down by your side, chest open. And then just focus on your hips. Flex your right foot and squeeze that right hip into the bottom of the rib cage. Just hover the foot off the floor. Maybe exhale to squeeze up, inhale to release. Make sure you're not tilting from your upper body, keep the shoulders level and just squeeze up, little nip into the waist, balancing. And maybe you could just not quite put the foot right back onto the floor, just hovering off the floor. Then you're going to do more load bearing on that standing leg. And then when you're ready, swap to the other side. Just hover the foot and squeeze and tap it down. Or if you can, you keep it just slightly hovering. Then there's more load bearing for that standing leg. And of course those core muscles working to keep you stable, and a little bit of waist there as you hitch the hip up, but you keep your rib cage still while you do this. And then you know me, I've got no idea how many I've done, so probably enough. And hold that there. Shoulders, hips, knees and ankles aligned. And then do a squat, elbows high, and slide the foot out. And squat and slide. Keeping the chest up. And then see if you can do a squat and slide and lift. But of course, if that's too much, you just leave the foot on the floor. Try not to lean forward. Again, you're sliding down that imaginary wall, keeping the chest up. Now see if you can hold it on that same side and repeat. Squat and lift. Keeping that chest up. Working the outside of the hip and thigh, and of course the shoulders as well. And then when you're ready, just swap to the other side. Hips go straight back, knees go straight forward, working those thighs again. And of course that outer thigh as you lift. If it's too much, you just slide the foot along the floor. Keep the foot on the floor. Feel those shoulders work also. And then when you think you've done approximately equal numbers on both sides, just bring it back to the start position. And then a knee lift, lift and lower. Just lift and lower. And one more time and put it down to the other side. Balancing, get that hip flexor to work, lift and lower. And then this time bringing the hands into prayer position, glue the thumbs into the chest, and then lift and lower. Lift and lower. Then on the third one, hold it up, look over the fingertips and twist. And you can see there's balance going on here. Bring it back and put it down. See if I can do better on the other side. So you do lift and lower, lift and lower. Hold, look over those fingertips, keep the shoulders down and twist. Yes, a little bit of wobbling still. Bring it back, replace the foot. So you do 3 little knee lifts, load bearing for that standing leg. Hold and balance. If you need to, of course, you just put the tips of your toes back down while you put that twist in. And back and down. And again, just lift and lower, lift and lower, and hold. Look over those fingertips and twist. You probably find one side is better than the other side. Keep those knees and hips pointing forward. Replace the foot. And then from there, just one more time. Just lift and lower, lift and lower, and hold. And look over your fingertips as you twist and wobble. It doesn't matter. You're really working those core muscles. A bit of wobbling doesn't matter. Bring it back, put it down, and again. Lift and lower, lift and lower, lift up and twist. Gently bring it back and replace the foot. And then see if you can, lift the knee up, hug it into the chest and rotate the ankle. Now if that's too much, just put the foot on the floor and do a heel and toe. And then if you've got your knee up, change direction, make the foot go the other way. Try and bring the knee to the chest rather than the chest to the knee. And then when you're ready, change to the other side. Again, just getting flexibility into the ankle. You can do that, or you can bring the knee right up and rotate. Standing up nice and tall. Think about having that piece of string through the centre of your head, putting you up towards the ceiling, and then change direction. Hug that knee in, get a bit of stretch through your buttocks, as well as getting some flexibility into the ankle. And then replacing the foot to the floor. And then if you'd just like to get your mat and stand on the back of your mat. So back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels up against that imaginary wall, tailbone pointing down. And then just start with that lovely roll down. Drop the chin, relax the knees, and keep the arms close into the legs and slowly head down towards the toes. Drop. Hold it there and then just do a little nod. And then shake, 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 shake the head. And then slowly come up. All the way up, link by link, bone by bone, up against that imaginary wall. And going again. Drop the chin, relaxing those knees always, so they're not locking. Just let your breathing flow all the way down, maybe that little bit further. Let the head and the arms dangle. Nodding, nodding, nodding. Shake, 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 shake. And then keep that tummy button pulled up and in and slowly come up. All the way up, supporting the back with your tummy muscles all the time. And this time use the roll down to go onto the hands and knees if you're comfortable with that. If you're not happy with that, then of course you can go on to your front. Drop the chin. Slowly, slowly down. Just peeling yourself off that wall like a piece of wet wallpaper all the way down. Do that little nod again. And then shake, 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 shake the head. Bend the knees a little bit more to get the hands onto the floor and walk out onto the hands and knees. If you are not happy on your hands and knees, then of course you can lie on your front with the forehead down on the backs of the hands if that's comfortable, with the legs long. So shoulders, hips, knees and ankles aligned. Hands and knees, you want the knees directly underneath the hips, the hands underneath the shoulders, peach underneath the chin. Plank of wood on the back of your head, cup of tea between the shoulder blades. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just swing the right hip round to the right side as you exhale. And inhale, bring it back. And repeat to that right side, just swinging the hips around. So you're not moving your legs at all, you're not moving your rib cage, you're just exhaling to swing round and inhale back into alignment. Now if you're on your front, just take the forehead down onto the backs of the hands, keep the legs long, and hitch the hip up into the bottom of the rib cage. You're not lifting your hip up off the floor, you're just in effect shortening the leg, just as you did standing up, keeping everything above the waist still. And then, when you've done enough on that right side, you swing it around and go to the left side. Keeping that cup of tea still between the shoulder blades. Keep the peach underneath the chin, the plank of wood on the back of the head. If it's not comfortable, on the palms of the hands, you can always go on to your knuckles. And of course, at any point, if the knees don't like it, you can lie on your front and just hip pitch that left side. Try not to move anything at all from the waist up. Keeping the arms nice and straight, so nothing is moving apart from that pelvis. Swinging around to that left side. Then when you think you've done equal numbers on both sides, just sit back onto the heels. Let the forehead rest down, stretch the arms out in front of you. And then walk the hands around to your right side. Keeping the hips right back onto the heels. And if it's not comfortable, go into a sitting position, and I'll give you an alternative to do. If you're sinking back onto the heels, you might want to put your left hand on top of your right, just to get more stretch down that left side. And of course, if you're sitting up nice and tall, nice straight back, and walk the hands around your right side. So you don't try and put the left hand on top of the right, that doesn't work. Just twist, but keep your hips glued down. And then swapping to the other side. Just walk the hands around. If you're sinking back onto the heels, make sure those hips stay back onto the heels, they don't lift. And then of course you can put your right hand on top of your left to get more stretch down that right side. Sitting, you just walk around as far as you can. Feel that stretch around the middle. And then if you're comfortable with it, coming onto the hands and knees again. If you're not, just go into a sitting position, and I'll give you an alternative in a moment. Make sure your bottom doesn't stick up, tuck the pelvis under. Make sure the knees are directly underneath the hips, you've got that orange width between the knees. And then take your hands wider than the mat, with the fingers pointing forward. And of course, you know what's coming now. If you don't want to do press-ups, don't worry, I will give you an alternative, both sitting and on the hands and knees. But if you're going to go for the press-ups, slide your right leg directly out behind you, maybe flex the foot, keep the peach underneath the chin, make sure the chest stays between the hands, not the head. You don't want your hips back onto your heels, you want your hips over your knee. And then just breathe in, bend the elbow, and lift the leg. Maybe flex the foot, push the heel away from you, gives you a little bit more control. Breathing in to go down. Breathing out to push up, lift the leg up nice and high to propel you forward. You want the head in front of the hands. You might want to turn and have a look and make sure your head is in front of the hands. Now if that's no good but you're all right on your hands and knees, bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Lift the right arm up, elbow pointing up towards the ceiling, fingers towards the floor, and then unbend and bend. Unbend and bend, keeping the elbow up high. And if you are not happy on the knees at all, just sit on your bottom and maybe lift that right arm up and unbend and bend. Elbow up high behind you. And then if you're still going with the press-ups, you might be ready to change sides now. Keep that weight forward and extending the leg, flexing the foot, breathing in, bend the elbows, breathing out to push up. And of course, if you are on your hands and knees and unbending and bending the elbow, you would have changed arms. And also sitting, changing arms, making sure you try and do equal numbers on both sides. So upper body strength, tricep muscles, working, and of course if you're on your hands and knees, you're strengthening those wrists and your buttocks working, and wide arms with the press up, pectoral muscles in the chest. Then when you think you've done equal numbers on both sides, just sit back again onto the heels. Let the forehead rest down. Now this time you might just want to take the arms behind your palms up and rotate those wrists. Ease out the wrists, or if not, just come and sit on your bottom, swing your legs round in front of you. Put that big beach ball on your lap, reach over the beach ball, and rotate the wrists. And you're going to stretch through your buttocks as you reach forward and ease out those wrists. And then from there, if you just want to bring yourself onto your front, please. Maybe with the forehead down, onto the backs of the hands, legs long. Think about having that little flat hot stone underneath your tummy button, and pull the tummy button up off that hot flat stone. So you've got about a 30% contraction in there. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, pull the tummy button right up into your backbone. Hold to breathe in. And then just release and let it go at the end of that in-breath. So you're exhaling to pull up, breathe in, and at the end of the in-breath, you release and let it go. But again, to that 30%. So just isolate those deep tummy muscles, 3 fingers below the tummy button. That's all you're doing. Just engaging the tummy. And then releasing, letting it go, but not all together. Then see if you can add in that pelvic floor. So you're going to exhale to pull up, inhale, hold. Exhale now, squeeze up between the legs. Hold it all to breathe in. And at the end of that in-breath again, you let it go. But both of them to the 30%. So you've always got a little bit of a pull up and a pull in. Just isolate the tummy first, then isolate and pull up between the legs as if you're trying to stop yourself going to the loo. And then briefly hold, and then just release them both with control to that 30%. So tummy pulls up first, then the pelvic floor, hold it all for the in-breath, and then at the end of that in-breath, you release and let it go to the 30%. But maybe you could hold it for an extra breath. Try and relax the neck and the shoulders, and then just pull the tummy up as you exhale. Inhale, hold. Exhale, squeeze up that pelvic floor. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. And then on the in-breath, release. But again, just to the 30%. So holding up for that extra breath, pulling up the tummy, pull up the pelvic floor, hold it all as you breathe in and out. And then you gently let it go on that out, in-breath. Then keeping the tummy button pulled up that 30%, and the pelvic floor pulled up the 30%. Just take the arms out to the side, crucifix position. Bend the elbows at a 90-degree angle. And maybe just take the legs out wider, turn the big toes in towards one another, and just relax those buttocks. Still got the tummy pulled up, the pelvic floor pulled up a little bit. Forehead on the floor, maybe with the peach underneath the chin, or you can turn your head to the side and let your cheek rest. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just hover the right arm off the floor and breathe in and put it down. Exhale, left arm off the floor and breathe in and put it down. So you just lifting and lowering. Alternate arms. Feel that posture muscle across the upper back work. Getting flexibility into your shoulders. And don't forget the peach underneath the chin, between the chin and the chest. Try and keep the neck relaxed. Just lifting and lowering. And what about doing a single arm, and then both together. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Single and squeeze together. Try and keep the neck relaxed. Pull those shoulder blades back. And then we've completed this one. Just relax back down. You might want to bring the hands underneath the forehead if that's comfortable. If it's not, you could take the arms down by your side and then lengthen through those legs. Also, if that, we're going to do some more of that in a minute. If that is not comfortable in that position with the arms, you can always have the arms down by your side. Single, double. Always do that instead. And then lengthening the legs. You're going to do single and single to start with. Single. Lengthening through those legs. Keep the buttocks working. Keep the tummy pulled up and in, so that's working. Don't forget your pelvic floor. Keep lengthening through those legs. Then, of course, you can go with the single and the double. Remember, it's always breathing out on the effort. So as you lift the leg, you breathe out. Breathing in to put it down. Single, double. Lengthening the legs and adding in the lower back as well. Try and keep the neck relaxed.
the shoulders relaxed, and isolate each buttock, and then both together, then you're adding in that lower back. And then of course if you wanted to make it a little bit more challenging, you would just stay with the doubles. But make sure you're not bending the knees at all. Try and keep your neck and shoulders as relaxed as you can, and just lengthen the legs. It's not about lifting high, making sure those knees don't bend. And then when you've had enough of that one, you can do single, single, you can do single, single, double, you can stay with the doubles. Coming up onto the hands and knees, and then let's just have a little stretch. Sit back onto the heels, let the forehead rest down. If that's comfortable, arms out in front. If it's not, arms behind. Or if you're not getting your head down, remember you can make a fist. Put your head on the fist. If there's still a gap, put the other fist on top of it. And stretch the lower back and the buttocks. Or of course, failing that, you sit on your bottom, swing your legs round in front of you, and reach over the beach ball for your toes. And tuck the pelvis underneath the ball. Get a good stretch in the lower back and the buttocks. And when you've done that, if you just want to scoot all the way back out again, arms out, crucifix, bend the elbows at a 90-degree angle. Or remember, if that's not comfortable, you can always have the arms down by your side. And legs long and together-ish. And then you're going to see if you can add a little something else onto this. You're going to lift the upper body and hover the arms. And then release and go down. So you're going to lift, keep the eyes focused on the floor, lift the arms and take it down. If that's not comfortable, you can always just stay with lifting the upper body. So your back is going to work now. So just lift and hover and release and take it down. You can make it a little bit more challenging. You can lift up, hover, and then lift one arm higher, release, other arm higher, release, and take it down. That's too much, of course, you stay with the earlier options. It's upper body, keep the eyes focused. Lift, squeeze, release, and down. And of course you can add your legs into this if you want to. You can lift the upper body, hover the legs, and then lift opposite arm and leg. So right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg, and take it down. But if that's too much, you can do the upper body first, and then just do alternate legs. But if you can, it's a lift to work the back, lift the arms and both the legs, and then opposite arm and leg, and down. So you decide which level you want to go for. Try and keep the legs long. And then a little bit harder, what you could do is, you could lift the upper body, lift arms and legs, hold, extend the arms, and now do opposite arm and leg. And you can stay up there and repeat. So there's lots of options there for you to work with. You do as many repetitions as you want to, and then when you've done equal numbers on both sides, you stop when you've had enough. And then coming up onto the hands and knees, do your angry pussycat stretch. Arch the back, drop the head, tuck the pelvis under, look back between the thighs. Arch that back right up, drop the head down. And get a good stretch from the back of your neck to your tail. Then crossing the arms, please, at the wrist, because you have worked into the upper back as well. Press down with the hands. You can always come up onto your knuckles if that works better. Hold that there. And then change the crossover. Now, if you're not comfortable there, just sit on your bottom. Put the beach ball on your lap, reach around the beach ball, and then hug the ball into the chest and drop the head onto the ball. Then you're opening up between the shoulder blades as well. Stay with that there. Now if you're on your hands and knees still, with your hands crossed over, then you would sit back onto the heels to stretch the lower back and the buttocks. Arms stretched out in front or behind, or making fists underneath your forehead. Maybe open those knees a little bit, get those hips back and down. Breathing full and wide into the ribs, get a good stretch in the lower back and the buttocks that you've worked. And then the best way you know how, coming on to your back. Making sure you've got enough mat to roll down on. Maybe reach the arms forward, tilt the pelvis, create your C curve. And then link by link, bone by bone, with control, use those tummy muscles all the way down. Remember, you can hold on behind one thigh to control the speed. You can put the hands behind you. You can roll over onto your side and then roll over onto your back if you need to. Then once you're down there, slide the feet in and the knees are up, feet flat on the floor. Shoulders, hips, knees and ankles are aligned. Bring your chin down over the peach. Stretching fingertips towards the toes. Make sure you've got that little grape in the small of your back, so you're not arching your back or tilting your pelvis and crushing your grape. Maintain the natural curve. Trade marbles balanced across the pelvis. Orange width between the knees. And then take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just slide the right leg straight out along the floor and breathe in to bring it back. Exhaling out and inhaling back, working with your breathing. Making sure when you slide the leg out, you don't arch your back. When you slide the leg back in, you don't tilt your pelvis and crush your grape. And then adding an arm. So right leg goes out and the left arm goes over your head, but without the rib cage flaring. Opposite arm and leg. Keep the chin down over the peach. Slide the leg straight out from the sit bone and the arm just goes straight over as far as you can, but without that rib cage flaring. Getting flexibility into the hips and knees and of course the shoulders, but really switching on those deep stabilizer muscles. Brace the tummy. And then if you would like to make that a little bit harder, what you could do is lift one leg up into tabletop, press your back into the mat, lift the other leg up into tabletop, knee over the sit bones and chin parallel to the floor. And make sure you're not arching your back or tilting your pelvis. You put that little grape back underneath again. And then this time you would extend the leg out, just parallel to the floor, and bring it back. So reaching the leg out and then gently bringing it back. Maybe exhale it out and inhale it back, or the other way around if that works better. Then of course you could add the arms in if you want to. Again, make sure that rib cage doesn't flare. Keep that rib cage knitted right down so the gap between the rib cage and the pelvis stays exactly the same. If that's too much, of course, you just put your feet back onto the floor or leave the arms out, whichever you prefer. But really working those deep, deep stabilizer muscles. Keep the length through the neck and shoulders relaxed, and just reach back as far as you can. But making sure that rib cage stays knitted right down. Now, if you wanted to make this one a little bit harder, there's a couple of ways of doing that. What you could do is breathing in, nod your head, breathing out, curl up, adding in your six-pack muscle, rectus abdominis down the front, and you would do exactly the same thing, but holding up. Of course you can keep the curl up in and support the head with the hand if you need to. But make sure that grape stays crushed. If that's too much, you go back to one of the earlier options. So when you're curling up, you're pressing your back right down into the mat. Now you can carry on with that. You can put your head and shoulders down. You don't have to do the arms. You can decide. There is another level or an alternative maybe to this one to make it harder. You could extend the legs out and bring them back. Just extend out and bring them back. You could do arms into that if you want to. Nice and smooth. The lower you take those legs, the harder it is going to be to keep your back on that grape. Or, of course, you could add the curl up into that. Breathing in, nod your head, breathing out, curl up, and then extend the arms over as you extend the legs. Nice and smooth. Make sure that grape, when you're doing the curl up, of course, stays crushed. And again, the lower you take those legs, the harder it will be. Try and keep the rib cage knitted right down into the hips and the shoulder blades off the floor. And then when you have done enough, if you're doing alternate legs, make sure you do equal numbers on both sides. Just relax back down, hug those knees into the chest, and let the head roll. From side to side, and just ease out any tension in the neck. Let the head roll. And then bring the head back into alignment. And then just put hands on tops of the knees and push them around in opposite directions. And release that lower back. First one way, and then the other way. Just circle those legs round, of course getting flexibility into your hips as well, as releasing that lower back. And then putting one foot down, the other foot down, stretch the legs out, take the arms over the top of your head, and give yourself a nice big stretch through from the tips of your fingers to your toes. Stretch those muscles that you've just been working. Tummy muscles and hip flexor muscles, lengthening through the legs. And then you're going to go onto the hands and knees, so you can decide, you maybe just want to roll over and come up onto your hands and knees, or maybe you can breathe in, nod your head, float the arms up towards the ceiling, breathing out, just peel yourself off with control. But then coming on to the hands and knees again, if you are all right on your hands and knees. If you're not all right on your hands and knees, then just roll down onto your front, please. So you've got your knees underneath your hips, your hands underneath your shoulders, your peaches underneath your chin, between your chin and your chest. And your tummy button, of course, is pulled up and in. Make sure there's no dip in your back. Just tuck the pelvis under, slide your shoulder blades down, shoulder blades flat against your back. And looking at the floor, keeping the weight forward, shoulders over the hands. And then take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just slide one leg straight out behind you, and breathe in to slide it back. Exhale the other leg out behind you, and breathe in to slide it back. Make sure you've got a cup of tea between your shoulder blades, cup of tea on the back of the pelvis. Sliding leg out and in. If you're lying on your front, just maybe take the forehead down onto the backs of the hands, or let your arms rest down by your side, and just do alternate leg lifts. But of course with those cups of tea in place as well. Now if you're on your hands and knees, here's your little add-on. You slide one leg out without pushing your bottom up into the air, other leg goes out. Hold to breathe in, breathing out, first knee back in, second knee back in, then you start with the other leg. So your left leg, right leg, hold, left leg in, right leg in, and then swap to the other side. So you're taking into full plank. Now, if you are on your front, again, you're just really going to have to stick with those leg lifts. So making sure you're engaging the tummy all the time. Make sure the pelvis doesn't rock from side to side, keeping those cups of tea still. And then, of course, there is another add-on here if you want it. You can slide the leg out and hold, and then do a lift and lower, lift and lower. Leg comes in again. Alternate the leg you start with. So left leg, right leg, lift the other one, and then left leg in, right leg in. And unfortunately, still lying on your front, doing the leg lifts. Then of course, you could add a press up onto that if you would like to. The best thing to do if you're going to add the press up in is to take the hands a little bit wider than the mat. Fingers pointing forward, elbows pointing out to the side. And then you slide out. Slide out. Lift right leg and take it down. Lift left leg, take it down. right leg in, left leg in, and then you start with the other leg. So it'd be left leg, right leg, and then lift and press up. So the weight of the leg pushing you forward, left leg in, right leg in, and then you carry on with that if you can. Now, if you're on your front, maybe just come into a sitting position and we can work the backs of the arms. You can clasp the hands, lift up and do the drop and lift, or if the shoulders don't like that one, it's elbows up high behind you, pointing the fingers forward. So you decide which one you're going to do, but you're working the backs of the arms into the bingo wing when you put the press up in, or those tricep kickbacks. And then when you've done enough press ups, just come back to the start position and then sit back onto the heels, let the forehead rest, take the arms behind you, palms up, and rotate those wrists. Stretch through the buttocks too. Or of course you sit on your bottom, swing your legs round in front of you, put that beach ball on your lap, reach over the beach ball for your toes, and rotate those wrists. That is more comfortable for you. And then if you want to just come into a sitting position, please. Stretch the legs out in front, lengthen up through that piece of string in the centre of your head, pop the hands down beside the thighs and push forward. Get a good stretch through those hamstrings. Pushing forward. Keep the shoulders down and press the backs of the knees into the floor so the legs stay nice and straight. Maybe take a breath in, and as you breathe out, walk the fingers a little bit further out. Get a really good stretch. Also lower back and buttocks too. And then just relax, and then maybe sit with the legs straight or bent or crossed, but sitting up nice and tall. Remember, if that is not comfortable for you, you can always pop a cushion underneath your bottom to try and get the back up nice and straight. And then right hand palm down underneath the buttock and sit on it. And then drop your left ear down into your shoulder. Keep lengthening up through the spine so those tummy muscles are still working, and get some stretch through the neck and the shoulder. And release. Lengthen up again through that piece of string in the centre of your head. And drop the chin right down into the chest. Slide those shoulders down away from the ears. And shoulder blades right down your back. Lengthen through the neck. And then just lengthening back up. Left hand with the palm down underneath the buttock, sit on it. And drop your right ear into the shoulder. Hold that there. Keep the length through the spine all the time. Hold and stretch. And then release, lengthen up, shoulders back and down. Keep the peach underneath the chin and turn the head and look as far as you can over that right shoulder. Try not to allow your head to tilt back. Just keep the chin down. Look as far as you can. And then with the chin down over the peach, turn the head and look over that left shoulder. Just as far back as you can go. Get some flexibility into the neck. And then drop the chin down into the chest. Lifting the head up. And then lift the right arm up. Drop the hand behind your head. Ease the arm back to stretch into the back of the arm. Elbow pointing up. Don't forget the peach. Keep the head up nice and tall and just ease the arm back. So we did quite a lot of press ups and work for the backs of the arms. Just ease it back. And the other arm straight up, arm by the ear. Elbow pointing up and give a little push back. Just try and keep the arms close into the head as you can. Encouraging, of course, flexibility into the shoulder too. Ease it back. And then relax and just take the hands behind, either clasp them together or rest them on the floor. And just squeeze those shoulder blades together. Open up the chest. Still sitting up nice and tall. Don't forget those tummy muscles pulled up and pulled in. And then just release. And then add a big shoulder roll.
forward, up and round and back and down. Get those shoulders moving again. Big, big, big shoulder roll. And then there we are. That is session number 38. And again, thank you so much for still being there. It certainly gives me something to do. And I'm hoping that it's keeping you going too. Thank you again, always, for your most generous contributions. It's very kind of you, and it's just great that you're still there. We'll just have to keep going, as I say, every week. And I know I won't see you, but why not? Why not? Send me some photos of yourself and your pussycats and your dogs, whatever. And somebody sent me an owl. I need to put that out for you to see. So we'll be back again next week. Well done. Bye for now.